Good morning and welcome to this business breakfast with the Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce. This morning we have with us Richard Smith from Synthesis Marketing. Welcome, Richard. I'll do a quick introduction.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Richard. So Richard is the new owner of Synthesis Marketing and is actually our newest chamber member. I think he joined yesterday actually, but I've been in the process for a bit. So Richard will be new to you, and I'm sure he will share with you some very good advice this morning around digital marketing and around getting started if you've just moving into the digital marketing space. We're very aware at the Chamber that many businesses have gone online and set up online shops, and of course during COVID we all need to be, it changes us forever really in terms of increasing the digital engagement we're going to have with customers. So it's good to get the basics right from the beginning and have some programs around how you're going to drive people to those fabulous new online shops that are popping up every day across the Hutt Valley. So welcome, Richard. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and I look forward to what you're going to share with us.
No, thanks for the introduction, Helen. Much appreciated, and welcome to everybody for today's live stream. The topic for today is the lockdown basics for online retailing and digital marketing. So really, as Helen said, we're covering the basics. This isn't the advanced version of what you can do with your e-commerce or online presence. It really is starting out and the things that you could be doing to make sure that you've set in place a really good foundation. So making sure your business is seen as one of the core parts of making sure that your online presence is working. In the coming weeks, there'll be a segment every Wednesday which just builds on the basics and takes you through some of those more advanced techniques. You'll have no doubt heard phrases like search engine optimization or SEO thrown around the place, and a whole range of other terms and technologies. So those will get covered over the coming weeks as well. But today, let's just start with making sure your business is seeing the basics of lockdown e-commerce, lockdown online presence, and those sorts of things. So there's really 5 topics that I wanted to cover off today, just to make it very simple. But before I get started, what I thought I'd do is I'd just have a bit of a talk briefly about how digital marketing, social media, websites, and e-commerce all fit into how your business communicates with your clients and your customers, and just how you interact. So I guess if you go back a little way before March 26th, which back in the normal world, the way that we all talked with our customers, that we sold our products, that we communicated, was in various methods. So some of us were in retail spaces, so we had customers coming in to our shops and our stores, looking at products, having a chat, getting advice, and then making buying decisions. Other businesses often spend a lot of time on the phone talking to their clients. Maybe they email out to their clients, or possibly for some of you, you may well have gone to businesses and talked with your customers in their place of work, or you may have even gone to customers' homes and had a bit of a conversation and a session with people in their homes. So all of those things are ways that you communicated. Some of you may have had an online presence as well before. You may have had something which was digitally focused. The most important thing is that whether or not you've had a digital presence for quite a while, or potentially you've only had it for a short while, or it's something that you're working on now, is that the role of digital has certainly grown. Now that's happened because some of those channels that you've used in the past have changed. For the last 6 or 7 weeks, it's been very, very difficult to have that connection that you might normally have with your customers. Sure, you can still have phone calls and emails, but people haven't been able to go to stores until very recently, and it's even now very limited. And also, you haven't been able to go into businesses and into people's homes. So your channels have reduced, so making sure that digital fills those channels and is there for the long haul is quite an important way to look at your digital online presence. The other thing which I think is really important, and it's something that we won't know until we get further through the next month, 2 months, 6 months, is just what is the change patterns in shopping and buying. There's 2 drivers to this, I believe. One is that some people may stay concerned for longer about how they interact, so they may be less likely to go into retail spaces or out and about if they believe there might be a lot of people. And the second one is that a lot of people have actually changed their shopping and spending and buying behaviours. The one example that I think about there most is particularly retirees and supermarket shopping. So a lot of retirees in the past wouldn't have been used to shopping online using Countdown's online shopping platforms. Now they've had help to get up and running, they're using it, and it may well be that they don't go back. So if you think about your customer base and how they've interacted with you in the past, is there any possibility that they may change what they do and how they interact with you, and how might you need to respond to that? So it's worth just doing a little bit of scenario planning, which might be there's going to be no change, so I can do this, all the way through to there is going to be a significant change to the way my customers might want to interact. So these are the changes that I need to make. But coming back to the 5 main core areas that I want to cover today in terms of those lockdown basics. There are 5 of them, and what we're going to do is we're going to run through each of them in order and just have a bit of a discussion about those. So just to do it a little bit old school, I've got some web pages here. So the first one is start where the easiest gains are. Now, when it comes to getting an online presence, I really do believe that starting where you get the fastest gains is the most important thing you can do. So if you haven't been online for very long, or you're just about to get online, look at where you can make the most impact. I've got 2 examples here of businesses that I know in the last 4 to 6 weeks who have tried to make their efforts to go online. And they're 2 quite different stories, even though the 2 companies were essentially selling the same sorts of, well, they're essentially selling products and trying to put in place an objective where they could continue to gain some revenue. The first store spent quite a long time trying to get all of their products online. They had a huge number of variants, so there was makes, models, brands, colours, sizes, and they put a huge amount of effort and time into getting those online before they went live. My understanding is that after several weeks, they only went live a day or 2 ago. It's taken a month plus of effort to get there. The second business, which started at that same time, was pursuing a similar strategy but implemented it very differently. They were online within 2 days with their e-commerce platform, and the way that they structured it was they decided what their core range was, what their best sellers were from previous months, and they made sure that those were online. And at the top of their website, they had a message that said, if you can't see what you would like to buy, please give us a call and we'll put it online as soon as we can for you. We'll do it within the same day. So they had the ability to start selling very quickly, and they were managing to bring through sales within a few days. So there's 2 very contrasting styles. So don't feel that you have to get everything perfect and everything online and all of your messages, all of your services, or all of your products straight away. Doing it slowly is a good way to do it. So my message is there, pick your core offerings or your core products. It can be your best sellers. It could be your end of season that you want to start to sell. And make sure you get those online first whilst you progress with the other products. This is a really great way to make sure that you can keep the revenue coming in and you can convert some of that stock into cash in the bank. So I think that's really positive. So the second point we've got is create your online personality. So if your business was successful before lockdown, then it's successful for a number of reasons, and you'll know what those reasons are. And it will be quite a varied number of reasons depending on what sort of business you're in. So I always believe the best place to start with your marketing is if you are successful in doing something and now you try to transition to online, use the personality that has been successful for you in the past as your building block. Tweak it or change it if you need to, but use that to take you forward. A couple of examples here are, if your store or your business is about in-depth info and giving a lot of customer service versus fun offerings and maybe humor, then that is quite different in terms of how you approach your online presence, in terms of your Facebook posts, in terms of what your website looks like, the images, the brand, the amount of information that you put on there. So that's something that you could look at. Similarly, if it's a personal approach versus a product approach, then the way that you do your online presence is quite different. One thing that I also think is quite important at the moment, and will probably remain important for quite a while, is that people will be buying local. So through Google, you can push your location, and it's through a part of Google called Google Local Business Listings. And when people go onto Google and they search for things which are near them, so for example, coffee near me or nearest computer retailer near me, you come up on the list and you're on the map and people can see where you are. So make sure that when you set up your website, you go in and you make sure that your location is turned on if local is important to you. So that's the second one. Moving on to the third area, which is connect with your advocates. So when you begin e-marketing, the temptation is always there to want to tell the whole world about your business. I always have believed that the initial focus should, rather than be telling the whole world about your business, is telling your world about your business. So in the current times, clients and customers that you've had in the past will want to help you. They will buy from you, they will recommend you, and they will share what you're doing to their friends and family. So connecting quickly with those customers that you've had in the past, so that they understand what you're doing, they know that you're online, they know that you're open for business or when you will be open for business, goes a long way to making sure that you are able to make the most of any online presence. So the hard thing might be, if you haven't been online a lot before or you haven't had a digital presence, the difficult thing might be working out how to connect with them. How can you share your new website? How can you share your new Facebook page? So the one thing that I would suggest is that you think really hard about how you connected with those customers in the past and whether or not you can bring together a database quite quickly of those people that you've worked with. So whether you can go through invoices that you've sent out or customer records or anything else that you have, which might be a phone list that you have from your customers. Anything that you can do to build up a really nice database, which you can then use to build your online presence and share what you're doing, because people will be really helpful. If they've enjoyed working with you in the past, they will certainly continue to enjoy working with you in the future. So that's connecting with your advocates. My fourth point for this is work with established groups. Just get that straight. So work with established groups. So whilst working with the clients that you've known in the past will get you very quick returns, if you can work with the groups that your customers work with or the groups that your customers are a part of, then you open up your marketing very quickly. It's a fast way to gain a broader appeal and to bring more traffic to your website or to gain more people on your Facebook. So there's a wide range of networks. I've got a list of some of them here. So some of the ones which are really useful, which are local to the Hutt Valley, if you're located in the Hutt Valley. Love local Hutt Valley. There's also NZ Made, SOS Business, and community notice boards. So some of those are a little bit more nationwide, but they also have a very high focus on particular regions and particular cities and locations. So make sure you use those. The other area that I found works really successful in the past is making sure that you connect and communicate with other groups like associations, clubs, interest groups, blogs, online forums, or even online specialists that write about particular topics. If you connect with them and tell them what you're trying to do, explain where you're at, what your business is doing, then the chances are that they will look to help you build your online presence and get things going. Now, it might be free. They may be able to send out newsletters and links to their databases. They may just want some sort of special or some sort of discount that they can offer to their membership group, or potentially it might be paid advertising. Have a look at the paid advertising, look at the number of people that might be gained through that advertising, and if it's worthwhile, then it can be a very fast way to ramp up your online presence. So have a look at those. And then the last point is think joined up marketing. So your marketing really needs to all work towards a common objective. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about your online marketing or your offline in-store retail window marketing. So if it all joins up together, then you've got more chance of making sure it's successful. So at the moment, in the times when people aren't out and about shopping as much, I think it's really important that, for example, your window displays are set up really nicely so that they display the top selling products that you might have on your website. So people who might be out for a walk or going past your shop and look in the window that's nicely lit up, see your latest products, they see that it's on a website, they see how to get to the website, how to search for that product, and they can go there very quickly. So I think that's a really good way to make sure that you connect your physical presence with your online presence. A couple of other examples. So use your Facebook page if you have one to promote that you want people to sign up to your database and get your newsletters. You can offer prizes and do competitions to try and increase the number of people that sign up. That way you're building a really positive, strong database of people who are interested in what you have to say and interested in what you're offering. So using Facebook to connect in with your website and your newsletters is really good. Also, if you have a newsletter, a database, make sure you use it. Send out great newsletters. Do them regularly. Make sure they're interesting. All of those things will certainly add up to making sure that your online presence is successful, and hopefully it fills one of those gaps that's been left at the moment from other channels that have been removed. And if it's done really well, then an online digital presence can become a really important part of your entire business going into the future, past COVID, past lockdown. So that's probably the main topics that I want to cover off, just those 5 areas. So I'll quickly run through those again so you've got them. So those were, where is it? So those were, start with where the easiest gains are, create your online personality, connect with your advocates, work established groups, and use joined up marketing.
Thank you, Richard. That's really interesting and it's really good background for people who have put their online shop up or are just starting to move into the whole digital marketing space. Certainly, every day I'm talking to people who are learning so much about tech and saying, well, gee, I've never done this before, and breaking into new ground, and there's a sense of pride and a bit of intrepidation as well. So it can be a bit scary, can't it?
Yeah, it can be. And I've talked to a lot of people as well who are just setting out or just set out on the same journey. And I think one of the hardest things initially is that there's a lot of options for particularly how you get online. There's so many tools and so many platforms, and you've got to think about the platform you use for your website, the payment provider that you might link into that, how you're going to host these things. And there's a whole range of options. So talking to someone that can really just boil it down to the things that are most important to you and that will meet your objectives the most clearly is quite a good way to do it. And the costs can vary a little bit between different technologies and different payment providers. So if online e-commerce is what you're aiming for, it definitely pays to a little bit of research on that first.
What are you seeing in terms of email marketing tools that people are using?
So the most common and most popular tool worldwide is definitely MailChimp. So if you've got a good database that you're holding in MailChimp, it's very, very fast to brand up a really nice newsletter. And the newsletter can be either, it can be read very easily on a normal computer. It's also responsive to mobile phones. So if people open your newsletter on a mobile phone, then they can read it quite nicely as well. So these templates that MailChimp sets up are really easy to use. They can be branded, and they just make it very simple to send out to your database, whether it is tens of people or whether it's thousands of people in the space of a few minutes. It might take half an hour to put together a great newsletter. If you get used to the technology, you can get out there and really promote quite widely. So definitely check out MailChimp.
Great. Okay. And then I like to approach around, taking an incremental approach to building up your website shop and not trying to load 1,000 products all in one go because you just spend so much time loading it and no time actually generating any sales, and cash flow is more crucial than it's ever been right now. But the same approach exists for a database as well, doesn't it? So even if you just get your best sellers on to start with.
Yeah, exactly. So, sorry?
Your best buyers, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why I think connecting with those people that you've known for the longest and have been your loyal customers, they are the most likely to buy from you straight away. And they will be, for sure, the first people that come back into your store when they're able to. But they want to support you now. So making sure that those people go onto your database earliest is probably the best way to progress that. Building it slowly, adding people, looking at other networks, really is a good way to build fast as well. Because the main thing about e-commerce is making sure that you're seen. So you can build the best looking website and you can spend all the time you want on it, making sure it looks great. It's got great photos. It's got every product on and every variant. But if people don't get to your website, then your sales won't change. So I'd be inclined to get the core there first, talk to your existing customers, get them to help you, and start the sales while you do the incremental build of other things.
Yeah. Great. And of course, every time you communicate, you want to have that link to your website and send them to that site and drive that traffic through, don't you?
Yeah, so making sure that your newsletter has links to your website, has links directly to the products which are either the ones that you want to clear because they're last season's stock and you still got them, or they're the new seasons that stock that has come in and you want to promote that, or it's your best sellers, or it's change of season, warm clothing as you look outside and see what's happening. So yeah, definitely link to those products, link to your website, use your Facebook to drive people to your website. I often see websites as being the hub of what people are trying to do, and everything else can feed into it, whether that is Facebook. Some people use Instagram. If you're very image and product related, then nice photos using Instagram can drive people from Instagram to your website. People, it probably won't go back to normal. And if that's your customers, then you need to just think about how you respond.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So customer buyer behaviour is changing permanently, isn't it? In some ways, people are going to buy differently from here on in, and putting up an online website, online shop right now isn't just for COVID level 3 or 4 or 1. It's for the next many, many years. It's an investment for the long term as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the incentive to do it has been COVID driven for a lot of businesses at the moment. So that's made that push. It's pushed people over that gap to make sure it happens. And it will certainly serve people well in the next few months. But long term, and we've seen this happening even pre-COVID, more and more people are looking at online to buy things. Quite a lot of segments and sectors have started to see new players emerge who are really pushing hard on that online presence. And to some businesses, that's been to their detriment if they haven't been able to go online as well. So I think use this as the springboard to get things going so that you've got some revenue during COVID. Certainly look at it as a long-term proposition and a long-term channel that will see you in the right space for the future, regarding the future years.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I see we've got a question and some nice feedback there. I'm not sure if you can see them, Richard, but while you're having a look under live comments, if you've got any questions, anybody who's on the live stream now, then please do pop them in the comment stream and we will answer them, get them through to Richard and he can answer them for you as well. Richard, can you see that one about database options?
Yeah, so I've seen database options for small businesses. So there's quite a lot of database options out there. Some people actually use MailChimp for their database because it lists all their clients and it's an easy way to integrate with what you're doing with your newsletters. There's a whole range of what a lot of people call CRM or customer relationship management databases. The most popular ones are ones like Insightly, which is very popular. And the nice thing about Insightly and others like Agile as well, Agile CRM, is that they quite often have a very good free offering. So you can get onto those databases for free, start using them, start building up your lists of clients and contacts and customers without having to pay a monthly fee. Obviously, as you get to some of the premium offerings they've got, or your database gets over quite a large size, then you need to start paying. But I certainly check out some of those free offerings. The ones I've used and I've enjoyed, particularly Insightly. So check out Insightly online and also have a look at Agile. But there are 2 or 3 other ones as well.
Great. Okay. And so if you've got any other questions, anyone, please pop them in the comment stream and Richard can answer those for you. I just wanted to touch on telephone. Richard, do you want to make a comment about using the telephone?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one because I've talked to quite a few clients over the last month, and some of them have been sitting back and waiting for things to change and for the doors to open and customers to come back. I really suggest putting together a database of your most important clients and getting in touch with them personally is a really great way to use your time during lockdown and the first few weeks afterwards. Now, it can be a fairly informal conversation. It might just be picking up the phone and having a chat, asking how they're doing, finding out what's happening in their world and talking about what you're doing. It may be a little bit more detailed than that. Maybe you want to have that initial conversation with them, but also use the conversation with them to find out some of their ideas for you. You might use it as a little bit of market research. So if you've got a list of 2 or 3 things that you want to check and get their feedback and input on for your business, then telephone calls are a great way to get really qualitative information. And make sure that you use the phone to tell people what you're doing online, tell them what your website is, tell them what your Facebook page is, get them to like you, get them to follow you, get them to share with their networks. Because personal connections at the moment are what are really seeing businesses through.
Great, excellent. Had a few more questions come through. Can you see those on your?
Yeah, sure. Any tips on how to take the in-store customer experience online? We're used to talking to customers about products and options, etc., before they purchase. Yeah, so I think we talked a little bit about this before, but maybe we expand on it. So a lot of businesses are used to customers walking into their stores and having a detailed conversation. There's a couple of ways you can do this. Obviously, your product write-ups need to be really clearly written and with nice photos. So that gives people a very good idea about what they're talking about before they need to contact you. You can back that up with online through a couple of mechanisms. One of them is obviously people can call and have a chat, so they can ring your store or ring your mobile and talk about the products. That way you can give that personal experience. The other one that maybe some of you have seen is when you're on an e-commerce site, often there's a little pop-up that comes onto the screen which says that you're connected to a customer service person. Please ask us any questions that you have. They're a great little plugin that you can put onto websites, which means that as soon as someone is there, if they have any questions, they're more likely to ask you straight away. And they type it in. And the beauty of this is that you don't need to be pinned to your computer screen or anything like that. It pops up on your mobile phone. You can see what someone's asking you when they're on your website, and you can respond straight away just by typing onto your phone. So that's a great way of taking the experience, which is more information-driven, more relationship-driven, a bit more detail, through to an online way. But I would say make sure that in your retail stores, you push people to your websites where you can, particularly for those times when you're not open over evenings, weekends, during lockdown and things like that.
Great. And there's one other question there as well.
There is. So what advice would you offer for migrant businesses that don't use or trust social media? Oh, that's an interesting one. So I'm assuming that this migrant business is one where you're helping people to come to New Zealand. Would that be your understanding, Helen, on that one?
I think it might be in retail. I'm not sure who asked the question because all I can see is Facebook user, but I think it might be in a retail environment where a lot of our retail shop owners are migrants and English isn't their first language. Right. And there's certainly translation issues that we're very well aware of here at the Chamber. I know some of the COVID information sites have got a lot of translated information on them into different languages. Right. But I think this relates to people who are running businesses here in the Hutt Valley who are migrants, and the English is certainly their second language, so communication is maybe more of a difficulty or more of a challenge, or maybe social media is something that they're uncomfortable with. Yeah, so I guess there might be two ways to look at this. One might be that the business is run by a person who isn't as confident with online messages, but it might be that your customer base is made up of a lot more migrants. It might be something which is more applicable to people who come from overseas. So I guess if you're in the first of those categories where you're just a little bit more uncomfortable with online and with posting information, then I really think that the best way to make sure that you get it right and you get it done well is to seek some help from someone that is really clear in the way they communicate online and can very quickly put posts for you up regularly. And it can be a friend that you trust. It might be a staff member that you've got who can do that for you. But I think just getting someone that you can trust who's got very clear ways of communicating is a really good way to do it. And if it's migrants who are your main customer base, then maybe you might need to think about the typical languages that people are speaking who are your customers, and if you can do some translations into languages that might be more suitable for them, then I think you'll have a really clear way of connecting through your customer base. So I've done that for a few clients in the past where they've had clients in a few different countries, and we used to translate various Facebook and blog posts so that they went out more widely and could be more widely understood. Yeah. It's very important that the communication is targeted to the target market, the people who their customers are. And so... Yeah, it might be the same person that's just come through with another comment, which might not be Facebook, and that's very true. So I know, particularly for the Chinese market, the social media platform of choice is WeChat. WeChat is the Chinese equivalent of something like a mixture of WhatsApp and Facebook. So if your customer base is from a different ethnicity that has a preferred channel, then use that channel. WeChat is superb. It's very, very good for posting, for timelines. And for having products online and building a really big database of itself that you can then use to communicate with your customers. It's used by a lot of businesses in New Zealand who have Chinese clients or sell into China to gain a following. So WeChat's one that's well worth looking at, and it's a superb online tool. Excellent. That's really informative. Thank you very much, Richard. I think that's the end of our questions. Can I thank you everyone for your feedback and for your comments, your favourable comments too, which is great, and for your questions. So, Richard, some contact details. If anyone wants to get some more details, we'll pop those in the comment stream. But also, can you provide those?
I can. So, if you want to have a look at us online, so we are Synthesis Marketing, which is synthesis.co.nz. And if you go to that website, you'll find our phone numbers and our email addresses, and feel free to get in touch. Always keen to help out where we can. So if you've got any questions or want to have a bit of a conversation about where you are, particularly at the moment, then more than happy to have a conversation and guide you through any difficulties that you might be having. So yeah, feel free to get in touch. And we appreciate you listening in today. And thank you, Helen, and thank you, Hannah, in the background, who's been running these sessions for everybody. And we're hoping that she might make an appearance at some point soon.
She's not going to like you for that. Hey, so thank you, Richard. Thank you for sharing your expertise. It's a really informative session. Just to remind everyone, this is the first in a series of about 3. So we'll be looking at some other ideas around digital marketing and how to increase your digital presence and to get seen by your customers and drive traffic to your websites. We also have a full range of live streams over the next week as well, so I encourage you to have a look at those. And of course, if you are finding this through a watch party or some other group, please join our Hutt Valley COVID-19 business support group on Facebook so that you can keep up to date with everything that we're doing. Thank you again, Richard, for your time, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye.
Cheers.